Welcome to another episode of Brothers Arguing Sports. I'm Zav. Across the Zoom is TD. And today we're going to spend the next 4 minutes arguing who is the greatest big man in NBA history. TD, why don't you go first?
Two of the most important things in basketball are defense and playoff scoring. And the great Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar offered you both of those things. Amazingly, his defense is wildly impressive. 11 all defensive teams, 4 blocks titles, 1 rebounding crown. We all know about his offense, 25 a game for 19 seasons, led the playoffs in scoring 5 times. His Bucks teams were beasts. And here's the greatest. At age 37, this is not a one-trick pony. He did it for 5-10 years. He won finals MVP against the Celtics on that loaded Lakers team, scoring 25, 9, and 5 at age 37. So he gives you longevity, he gives you defense, and he gives you playoff scoring.
All right. And Kareem is definitely one of the greatest of all time. But what's the point of sports, TD? What is this point of sports, especially basketball?
And that is where Bill Russell has the 2 of the 3 most important things.
What is the point of sports? Winning.
Winning.
And there is not a greater winner in sports than Bill Russell. And I'll get to that in a second. But let's just break down the game. Yes, you mentioned Kareem, good defensive player. Russell was out of this world defense. We're talking 22.5 rebounds a game. They didn't have blocks back then, but through blocks calculations, they say it was up to 8 blocks a game. All right?
Yeah.
So his defense is out of this world. Second aspect, leadership. All right? Sports is about winning. And I could just read you the quotes. I might as well give you a couple right now. All right? And let's go here. Cousy, comparing Russell to Wilt. If Wilt had 1/3 of Russell's intensity, he would have been even more awesome than he was. Tommy Heinsohn, Tommy Ball, you know him.
Tommy Point.
Russell was the winningest person I have ever been around. He would do superhuman things if they needed to be done. And if you want to listen to people talk about Kareem, moody, aloof,
totally agree
to himself.
Totally agree.
Now, the one thing you bring up is offense. All right. But the truth is, the Celtics won with their fast break play. And it all started with Russell's defense. He would block shots to to teammates. He would rebound the quick outlet. And remember, the thing about Russell, he was an athlete. He was an athlete. At one point, the 7th best high jumper in the world, ran a sub 50 for 40 yards. He was a freak of nature in that sense. So I give you one question. I'll give you Kareem definitely is a better offensive player. He has the hook shot. But if I was going to give you a roster of 11 random players, they start in November. They're going to play a championship game in June. The same 11 players, you give him to Kareem, and Kareem is the centerpiece. You give him to Russell. He's the centerpiece. Who are you taking?
I got to go with Kareem for the scoring because scoring is the premium. But I give you, and you know me, I love defense and leadership and attitude. I put a premium on that stuff. And I know Russell is better. If I'm a GM, I want Russell's attitude. I want his dog and his work ethic.
You're just giving it to me.
No, and I want his defense. The reason why I give the edge to Kareem is simply because if you get Russell, and we know how basketball is, you can lack that premium, which is playoff scoring, which is, to me, the hardest thing in basketball. And Kareem, gives you that. And I was leaning towards Russell, but Kareem's defensive stats impress me. He's actually no buzz off 11 all defense teams. So no, he's no Russell. Yes, he's aloof, but his defense is good enough. Like we saw Jokic this year. His defense wasn't great, but it was good enough. Kareem's defense was good enough. My worry about Russell is you need a Robin. You need someone that can score, whereas Kareem, you don't need to do that well finding a Robin.
Yeah, but TD.
That's what gave me the edge.
But here's the thing. You mentioned you need a Robin. Guess how many players, when I looked at Russell's first championship and his last championship, guess how many players he had with him that was with him throughout the whole run?
Xavi had 6 Hall of Famers.
I'm just asking you, how many?
Well, back then there was no free agency. The same
Zero.
guys.
Yeah, we had zero. They were
there was
different.
no free agency.
My point is, he was the key. There were different players. They came and went. He was the one constant when he came into the league, and then his last game he ever played, he upset Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain. They were the better team. He still managed to win as a player coach and then retired.
No, that's a good point.
Getting that from Kareem. You're not getting that from Kareem.
No, you're not. And then here's the other point. This is true. He dominated his era more than Kareem dominated his era. With all the points you just made, that's 100% true. And if it was going on that, I would go with Russell. But you have to take into account that the league was different back then. The competition wasn't up there.
But TD,
here's today. If you had to draft a clone of them today,
yes, but
don't you fear Russell wouldn't? Don't you fear Russell? You wouldn't be up to par.
You can't judge history through a modern day lens. You can't look at history that way. He came in at a time and he was ahead of his time. All right, 6'9", 6'10", that athletic. That's what made him so great. But you can't say, well, if he came into the league 60 years later, he wouldn't be that great. That's
okay, fine.
Okay. You
all right,
judge
fine.
him by his time period. That's how it is.
Okay, fine. The scoring just wasn't there. 16 a game. I need more than that.
But TD, you don't realize back then they didn't score as much. He actually had, if you look at field goal percentages he had the best field goal percentage from his first championship team. It was only, I think, 44%. The game back then, people didn't score the way they do. But I personally like the idea of my focus is defense. I'm going to use all my energy to focus, and I'm going to get my teammates involved. That works. So, all right, we've made our points. Let's hear what you think in the comments. Do you think Kareem? You think Russell? Maybe somebody else? Shaq, Wilt, Hakeem Olajuwon, the list goes on. So let us know what you think in the comments, and have a great night, everyone. Good night.